Bill Muhlenberg here from Culture Watch. Happy New Year. One of the pieces I've just done seems to have gotten quite a bit of interest. A lot of people sharing it, passing it around. Seems to have struck a bit of a nerve, and that has to do with our current crop of bushfires, Scott Morrison, our Prime Minister, and all the media attention on it. In my piece, I noticed the double standards of how the media is basically trying to blame Scott Morrison for all this, or dragging in things like climate change once again, when the truth of the matter is those who actually live on the land, farmers, graziers, they know, even our indigenous population knows, bad management of the land is largely the cause of all this.
Climate change is the biggest farce going around. I'm going to show you just what the problem is firsthand. So as you can see, I'm just walking in here to the bush, all right? And you can see all the way, thick scrub. But have a look at the vegetation that's developed ground level. You know, this is a metre, higher than a metre high, you know? All these drop timbers and things like that, that's all fuel. But just have a look here at the vegetation. You can't even walk through here. Honestly, you used to be able to once just go for walks through the bush, okay? The Greens push really hard for our management of our bushland to stop burn-offs, planned burn-offs, making fire breaks in bad areas, even farmers and graziers from allowing them to graze their cattle and sheep and stock through the bushland to keep this vegetation down to a manageable level. It's not happening. This is just to show you guys what takes place and why these bushfires are so bad now. People are saying they're so bad now because of climate change. Well, that's they're so bad now because our Greens have pushed so hard that we don't touch it or manage it correctly. And then when it does burn, it burns. Properties are lost, lives are lost. When will they learn?
When you prevent controlled burning, when you prevent fuel reduction and so on, lock away huge swathes of our national lands into parks where nobody can effectively touch, well, you're asking for trouble.
These greenies and the government and these wombats who don't want to burn off, you want your heads kicking in. Look at this, we're going to lose all our houses and properties because of you useless pieces of garbage.
Climate change is not the problem. Bad land management is. And it seems a lot of people are thinking this way because, as I said, my piece has gotten a lot of attention and a lot of folks are unhappy with the way the media is trying to blame everybody and everything except some of these bad green policies. Those who live in the urban areas who think they know better than those who actually live on the land.
The bushland that we live in requires fire. However, the Greens and all the greenie people have forced us to not do fire control by getting out the underbrush and whatsoever, doing burn-offs. I hope that we learn from this. It's terrible, terrible, terrible way to learn.
One of the things that has gotten so many people upset with the mainstream media is how a clip on some pharaohs attacking Scott Morrison in New South Wales has been played over and over again. A handful of people trying to blame Morrison for everything, telling him to get lost, when it seems they're really more of a rent-a-crowd, and they just brought themselves in to, make a fight against Morrison. They simply used it as another political scoring point. Locals weren't too happy about that, and plenty of Australians are also not happy that the media keeps running with little tricks like this.
Kirribilli, we might burn that down.
Thing, you moron!
I don't see Kirribilli burning after the fireworks.
One of the local residents actually did a radio interview with the Sydney station, and his remarks were very revealing indeed.
I was just ashamed what happened. It's not Tobago, it's not representative of who we are. The people who heckled him, they weren't part of that relief centre. They haven't been up there helping. They haven't lifted a finger to do anything. They just marched up there for 2 minutes and then marched away, and that's all it was.
And he was quite grieved that the media, again, is giving folks like that the coverage.
I was just so embarrassed for the town, and because that's not what we are. And the people up there working their guts out trying to, load hay onto the trailers for people to feed their stock, trying to feed people who've lost their houses, they've lost everything, they've got no clothes. He's the Prime Minister of Australia, and he deserves some respect. And he was here to listen, and unfortunately, a tiny minority of people did that, and it's not representative of the community. And I said those people who did it, they're just no-hopers. They haven't been seen helping anyone, and they're just absolute drop kicks, and it's just terrible that obviously that's been the story. Like Philip Williams from the ABC's been here for 2 days. I tried to speak to him. I said, mate, you've been around talking to people. The stories that are coming out of this tragedy are just, I can't have it. You know, and that's the story. It's wrong.
The media has got a lot to blame for all this, and we can actually refer to this as the Morrison derangement syndrome.
Weeks of criticism of the Prime Minister.
The left and the media ganging up on Scott Morrison, just as they've done in America with Trump, just as they did here with Abbott in Australia. People are getting tired of this. That's why the alternative media exists. That's why there's other voices trying to get some truth out there in the public arena. So Culture Watch tries to do this. My article on the war against Scott Morrison, which we've been speaking to, will give you a lot more detail on this. But we need to get alternative voices heard because the mainstream media is clearly not doing its job.
How many more lives and properties have to be lost before people really start doing what needs to be done? This bushland, this fill needs to be taken care of.
Thanks again for watching Culture Watch. I'll be with you with more videos in the future, so please tune in.